Welcome to Empowered to Grow, the podcast. I am your host, Hanan and Basha, the business doctor. Following our conversations with empowered women who woke up one day and consciously claimed, I am more than enough, I am worthy, I am empowered to grow. And along their empowering journey towards realizing their own potential and their quest for growth, they became a beacon of hope and guidance for others. May you also find your inner power to grow. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Empowered to Grow. This is an Unchartered discussion episode with the beautiful Tara Newman. And as we said, she's a coach and an author and all about high performance and all about resilience and all about getting you from one place of high performance to high achievement or high achievement to high performance. Mm-hmm. And Tara, we were talking a bit between the episodes and she was talking about her signature course. And I'm like, okay, hang on, wait, everyone needs to hear about this. So can you tell us a bit more about your course, Tara, please?
Sure. So Hanan and I were chatting because we're having a lot of fun doing girl time in between these recordings.
Yes.
And we're both highly educated in business as per our degrees. Yes. I have my master's degree in industrial organizational psychology. And I know Hanan has her doctorate in business. And what I said was I learned more about business from doing business than from studying business. And then, and Hanan was saying how much, going through her schooling cost her, and same for me. And what I hear from a lot of women service providers that I work with is these are women who have gotten into business because they love their expertise. They're an expert in something, and they love what they do. And they're like, hey, I can do this thing, especially now with the internet and how we have access to so many tools online. Hey, I can really do this thing I love and create financial freedom and personal freedom for myself by doing this on my own. And it's very exciting when you start a business. You don't really think things through, to be quite frank. I know even for me, I didn't, and this is my third business, I didn't think things through to so much. And so women throw themselves into what they do best, which is jumping through a lot of hoops, Reels, Clubhouse, YouTube, podcasting, stories, fleets, like whatever there is. And they also feel that at a disadvantage because they don't have an education in business, or because the aspect of running a business feels very heavy or onerous. And so I had said to Hanan, I said, well, that's one of the purposes behind my program called the Bold Profit Academy. And it's a place where I want to democratize business education for women. And what we do is we measure two things. We measure time saved, how much time can we save you, and how can we increase your revenue and your profitability. I'm about profit because a lot of people talk about revenue, but that to me is a little bit more of a vanity metric. I don't really care how much you have in top line revenue. I care how much money you get to keep. Exactly. And women. And so in this program, we teach three real concepts in a way. We teach sales, skills, how to sell, because if a woman, and this is a really hard thing for women to grasp, and it was hard for me to grasp. I've struggled with sales for a long time. As a matter of fact, my first business went out of business and we went bankrupt because we forgot that we needed to sell. Yeah. We were great at delivering this stuff, but like the selling of it, we just kind of missed that point.
Delivering, but selling,
right?
Icky.
Right. So I've spent the last 15 years really developing sales skills and finding a way to teach it to women that makes it not scary, not intimidating, not nervous, but also in a way that allows for them to be really resilient and to keep going. Cause that's the whole thing to sales is you have to just keep selling. Yep. It's like Dory in Finding Nemo, just keep swimming. So we teach sales skills. we teach how to profit by using the Profit First system. So the book Profit First by Mike Michalowicz, I got certified as a Profit First consultant, and we teach you how to profit, and we could talk about that in a minute. And then how to organize and systematize in a way that is simple, because what is simple is scalable. But what you wind up getting a lot in the traditional online business space is complexity, all these different tactics and tools, and women take this course and that course and this freebie and that freebie, and they kind of try and like blend it all together. And it gets very heavy and complicated, and it stops overwhelming, and it works to a point. It'll get you through that startup phase. But then when it comes to growth and scaling, it falls apart a bit. So that's really where we're at. And the other thing about the Bold Profit Academy is it's here to get women to $250,000 US. I know this is an international podcast, US. Because what we're seeing a lot of in the online space is this 7-figure hype. But in 2018, Amex, American Express, did a State of the Women's Business report. So women small business owners. Only 1% of women-owned businesses make more than $1 million in revenue.
Not even in profits.
Revenue. And this was a US statistic. So I just want to state that. But if this is the case, why are we marketing 7-figure businesses? That's just a distraction. Also, you don't need to run a 7-figure business or $1 million business to be a millionaire.
Or to be satisfied or fulfilled.
Or to be satisfied, or any of those things, right?
That's the thing that I tell women now. I'm like, and that is the thing I didn't understand when I first embarked on this years ago. It's like, I say, if you want to build the next $1 million business, great. I'll support you. That's for you. That's a success. You want to build a next 2 hours a day as the kids are in school business.
Correct.
Great. Good for you. That's a success. I'll support you.
So what I say is, I don't care how much money you make, as long as the money you make is what you want.
Exactly.
The reason why I use 250,000 as a benchmark is because, one, I want to pull everybody back from this $1 million this 7-figure frenzy, right? To get them to focus, because it's part of my thing as a high performance coach is focus. But also, when you pay yourself when you bring in revenue of $200,000 to $250,000 as per the Profit First system, then you can pay yourself 6 figures. And so for women who want to have that level of financial empowerment, be able to support themselves if anything happens to their family, if anything happened to their partner, if maybe they have a partner who's contributing, if they need to leave a partner, if they need to, like, whatever, right? Like, they have some money there. But like, more importantly, what Profit First allows people to do. So Profit First is a cash flow management system. And 83% of small business owners are living paycheck to paycheck.
True.
Right? So, and nobody goes into business unless you're an accountant with like this finance degree that understands, fancy spreadsheets and things like that. So how can we explain this in the simplest way possible and empower women around their money, giving them a simple system that allows them, because in the last episode, you were talking about having money and then spending money.
And not making sure not to keep it around.
So women have this struggle, and it's not just you, it's having it and then holding it. And so what Profit First allows women to do, when it's taught by a woman, because it gets taught very differently. So I will say that.
And I want to tackle this next, and because why women coaching women, women mentoring women is completely different in the business world.
So a lot of women say, find me, because they've picked up the book and they're like, the concept, obviously, like having a cash flow system is something they want to understand.
Yeah.
But the way it's delivered in the book is not accessible to them. And I say that with so much love, Mike, if he ever listens to this. And he knows I've had this conversation with him. So what Profit First ultimately allows you to do is give your money a purpose. It allows you to put profit first. It allows you to pay yourself. It allows you to pay your taxes so you're not up all night worried about the tax bill that's coming. And it tells you exactly how much you have for expenses and to navigate your business. And so all those things are a purpose for your money. And then there's advanced things that we can do with it that gives your money even more purpose. And what happens is that you're supposed to open up 5 different accounts. And women get like super freaked out about all the bank accounts. So if you've heard of Profit First, you probably know it because of the bank accounts and the percentages,
I just went through, I can't remember what's Mike's following book, because I went through the following
Fix This Next.
Yes. I just completed it, and he was talking about Profit First. I'm like, I made a mental note. I'm like, I've got to get that one. But so
the bank accounts, but those are containers.
Talks about that too.
Yeah. But those bank accounts are just containers for women to hold energetically more money. Instead of having it all come into 1 or 2 bank accounts, that starts to feel overwhelming and unmanageable. We kind of distribute it into these other, containers or vessels for our money. And it feels very expansive to do it that way.
And you know what, I heard it from Mike in Fix This Next, and he was talking a bit about it. He didn't go into details because that was the first one, but I also learned that from T. Harv Eker and The Millionaire Mind, Secrets of a Millionaire Mind, and he was talking about that. And I was like, even if you get $10, you put 1 in your saving, and 1 in your luxury, and 1 in paying for your debt, and 1 in, and I'm like, okay, that's only with $10. And amazingly, and he works all towards financial freedom, he calls it, just knowing what you do next, you can enjoy, but you're not doing it for your survivability of paying bills and doing that. And I actually started applying it. So every payment I got from any client, I started saying, okay, I don't have the 5 accounts, but I started putting into 3 pools. So 1 was kind of a savings, 1 was paying off my debt, and 1 was in the now for the business expenses, to making sure that I've got enough to, get some help doing that kind of thing. When I think also, as you said, overwhelm comes from trying to apply everything all at once. And this was one of my main learnings from my health coaching certification, is understanding that what makes a habit stick, especially healthy habits, and healthy habits, encompass everything in life, is doing one thing at a time. And it's that Kaizen concept of small incremental improvements. So I said, I'll do this when I'm comfortable enough. Then I can actually open a 3rd account, and then do that. And then there's a 4th account. And, it's building up and giving myself the space and the time to be able to build towards that. Because again, it's about resilience. It's about sustainable growth for me. And sustainable growth was actually the topic of my thesis. My doctoral thesis was about the sustainable growth of small and medium enterprises, and the drawbacks of what happens. But now I think over the past few years, I realized I want to go back and revisit that concept of sustainable growth of service-based online businesses, because
it's interesting because online businesses are really cheap, but women make them very expensive.
True.
Because I think that a lot of the marketing around buy this course, buy this thing, buy this
platform, and
it feeds right into our, the stuff we were talking about before about not feeling worthy or not enough, not getting it right, or being afraid to get it wrong, or, not knowing something that we think we should know.
And from that perspective, actually, now I want to close with this discussion. I don't think we can close with it, but we'll see how that goes. And it is about the understanding as a woman. starting a business, especially an online business, to seek the mentors and to seek the coaches and to seek the people who are doing it, that are not forcing onto you how to do it, but supporting you understand what you want to do, and then giving you the
Yes.
tools and the strategies. Because I know I
Yeah.
fell in that trap when I first started, and going through male dominated market, as with everything, and coaches. And I was on a call with one of the coaches, and I was near, he literally brought me to tears, because he was telling me, he's talking about weekly calls that they do. And for me, as per the time difference, it was 2 a.m. in the morning. And I was telling him, I can't make it live. I'll be watching, the kind of the replay, but I can't make it live because I wake up at 6 a.m. to take my son to school. He's like, don't say you can't make it, say you choose not to. And then it's kind of, holding me accountable to not growing my business enough because I'm not committed. And I felt so frustrated. But the point, I had to bring myself back and say, you can't, not to his face, of course, I didn't continue working with him, but understanding that I don't get to judge anyone, no one gets to judge me. Your role is to pass on the knowledge.
Yeah, I think there's a lot in the traditional online business space that lacks inclusivity.
Yeah.
And intersectionality for all of our intersections, like, whether, maybe you're a mom, or, for me, I have ADHD, and that like kind of gets like a problematic in some of these learning environments, or, any number of things that people just don't take into consideration, and gender, and they think that it's one way or another.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that we do in the Bold Profit Academy is we have a lot of frameworks.
Yeah.
Because frameworks are just like a structure, and then we encourage everybody to fill in the framework with what works for them.
Sure.
Yeah. And the same thing,
That's the
yeah,
essence
and
of it.
being flexible with systems. And that's the other thing about Profit First, is it gets very much created around your goals, what you want in your life. I have an opt-in, which anybody here can go and download. I'm happy to share that with them, that has them create a revenue goal that actually works for them using Profit First. So what you do is, it's a spreadsheet completely programmed by my team, and you go in and you enter the purpose you want your money to have in your life, like whether it's your expenses or maybe something you're saving for or whatever. And then it tells you how much you would need to make in your like salary as a business owner to support that. And then it tells you how much you need to bring in revenue wise to pay yourself that amount, how much would get spent on taxes, how much would get spent on your team or business expenses. So you have a very clear picture based on your personal goals and your personal situation, what revenue you need to be making in your business. It's not plucked out of thin air.
That's amazing. Where can people find that?
So if they go to the boldleadershiprevolution.com/revenue, it will bring you to that, and you'll get the calculator. It's a really fun tool. Just because it's a spreadsheet, don't be scared. Sometimes people get intimidated by spreadsheets. It's very easy, and there's a video on how to use it and everything.
That's great.
That explains it.
I hope people use it, because as you said, numbers are intimidating. And expectations are intimidating, because again, the hype and the bubble and the hustle culture that's going around is telling you that if you're not doing 6 figures, if you're not doing 7 figures, if you're not contributing in 6 and 7 figure masterminds, then you are not set for growth. You're not putting the right foundation for yourself, and you are not growing as you should. And I think I'm fighting this. I'm fighting back this culture. And I believe you're doing it in your own way as well. And it is about subjective success rather than just falling victim to what everyone else is telling you, the conditioning of what success should look like and feel like.
So this goes back to your theme about empowered to grow.
Yes.
Right? We want to put the tools and the knowledge in women's hands so they can make their own decisions. That's empowerment.
Yeah, that's it.
And then everything else clarifies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's understanding that you have the choice to amend and to tailor whatever you take to fit yours. And that's when I work with women. So I'm you say Excel sheets and spreadsheets and stuff, and I love even compartmentalizing my week. So I have blocks. I have days where I'm recording the podcast. I have days where I have my coaching sessions.
Me too.
And it helps me. It helps my kind of understanding that I'm channeling my energy for the day as per the theme of the day. And this is also something that I used to do it a bit, but I learned a lot from one of my friends, a fellow coach, Reem Kharbachi. She said, you have to theme your days. I'm like, I like that. Okay, let me tweak it a bit. But I do this exercise, and I used to do this exercise with my clients, saying, there's always the overwhelm of, I don't have time. And one of my friends, when I first started, especially the health coaching part, I practiced on her for free. So she's like, I'm willing to do this. I'm like, okay, let's do this. And full-time manager. She's also a mom, and she's also an expat and everything. And she was always saying, I don't have the time to do anything for myself. And I asked her to do an audit of her week. And I told her, see what works for you, whether you want to make it in 15 or 30-minute blocks from when you wake up, say 6 o'clock in the morning, until you go to bed at midnight. And I want you to log in what you do in those, even like going to work 8 hours, put in the 8 hours of work. And she did it. She came back a week later and she's like, oh my God. I'm like, what? She's like, I just realized. We looked at the log together, and she hadn't thought about it much, but as we were looking through the log together, she realized that there's at least an hour to an hour and a half in the evening where it's about Instagram scrolling. And we started working. I'm like, okay, I'm not asking you to take that away now. I'm just asking you to put in 3 minutes in the morning to start with. And then beyond that, we're going to add 3 minutes in the evening and just do a breathing exercise. I just want you to put a timer on your mobile and breathe. The 4-7-8 for Dr. Andrew Weil, because that's the one I learned and I love. 4-7-8 technique, and use that for 3 minutes. And we did it. I'm like, let's practice it together. I put it in the session. And then when we finished, the timer went up. She's like, that's it? I'm like, that's it. Slowly, she started adjusting her time. She started adjusting her day, but she started finding a slot for physical activity. And the physical activity was, I was not imposing onto her, you have to do aerobics, or you have to do weights, or you have to do yoga. I said, what's the activity that gives you the most fun? Do that. And she started exploring. And she got her husband involved, and they got another couple friend involved. And they started making 1 to 1.5 hours a day, 3 times a week, I think, 3 to 5 times a week, that she was enjoying physical activity. She took back control of her time. She made it hers. I didn't impose anything onto her. I didn't tell her this. And her time slot was after work, after dinner with the kids and all the exercises and everything, the activities. Then they found their early evening time where they can do this.
Yeah, time's a big factor for women.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to unpack around that. Because even I think we drain our time on things that are intangible and that we can't see. So mental spinning, overwhelm, hemming and hawing, not making decisions. I think those things have an impact. Like we spend time in that space, kind of like frozen.
Yes.
As well. And then I think sometimes we use time as an excuse for things that we don't want to do. Yeah. Because it's plausible. Yeah.
And it works. And I'm already tired. I'm already exhausted. But Tony Robbins speaks of this. He calls them the net blocks, the no extra time blocks. And I started utilizing them. So like times I'd be doing chores or going for a walk or driving or whatever, I started feeding myself stuff that empowers me one way or another, even if it's the music that I love. And for some absurd reason, not absurd, but the thing that energizes me is Latin music. I love listening to Latin music. It kind of, gets me jiggly and stuff. So that I use on my walks or sometimes in the car when I need to kind of pump up before a meeting or whatever it is. I use that for audiobooks. I use that to catch up on my courses. I use that to go on Clubhouse. And these are the times that as I'm feeding myself something as per my needs, again, it's not a must. Or of course, in the morning, I always have my positive part. I have to feed myself something positive in the morning. These worked for me. They helped me kind of nourish my spirit, nourish my mind, and get me out of those spinning and thinking about things I can't control, versus utilizing my time to grow one way or another and empower myself one way or another.
Yeah, those are things that I call energizers.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I know we can go on for a few hours, but I'm going to respect your time. And thank you so much for going overboard. Tara, it's been a pleasure. And I'm so happy we kind of resonate on so many levels.
Thanks for having me, Hanan.
Well, again, I think I'm going to quote you, and I'm going to use this statement a lot. Strategy is you. Tara Newman, that's what she said, and that is true. You do have the control. You do have the ability and the choice over at least a few elements in your life. So make sure you're capitalizing on them for your benefit. And my slogan, empowered you, empowers others. So once you start doing it for yourself, you're going to find yourself resonating it to others around you. Thank you so much for joining us again. This is Hanan and Basha, and I wish you love, abundance, and prosperity. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Empowered to Grow podcast. For further engagement with a tribe of empowered women, join my Facebook group, Empowered to Grow, or visit my website, www.hananelbasha.com. I'll catch you on the next episode. And until then, know that empowered you empowers others. Love, abundance, and prosperity to you all.